is the story America is watching unfold in real time. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She lives alone in a beautiful home in Tucson, Arizona. Her daughter Annie lives about 4 miles away from her. Her other daughter, Savannah, is an A-list celebrity and the host of the Today Show on NBC and a former Court TV correspondent. Last Saturday, Nancy had dinner with her daughter and her husband, Tommaso, at their home. At around 9:45, the family says she returned home. Then at some point in the middle of the night, something terrible happened. The next morning, friends from church were concerned she wasn't at Sunday service, and the family went to check on her. Nancy was not home, but her blood was on the front steps of her home. As the search continued, the media was sent a ransom note. Savannah and her family responded on social media. Then a second note was sent to the media. And finally, Savannah and her siblings responded saying, "We will pay." But there's been no report of payment and no sign of Nancy, just more searching and a request from Savannah that they need help. Tonight, all the latest in this tragic mystery as the search for Nancy Guthrie continues. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments, and she's still missing. Nancy Guthrie is still missing tonight. There obviously is still hope that she is alive, but as the hours and days, and now we're getting to weeks, begin to pass, this becomes much, much more difficult and much, much more desperate at this time. But I will tell you this, the FBI is deeply involved in all this now. I mean, they have resources and assets that are a big part of this investigation. Now, Pima's still leading it, Pima County, but they're getting a lot of help. They're getting a lot of help. And in a case like this, with this much attention and the potential of saving Nancy Guthrie, you need more bodies. And this is a good thing because we have seen cases through the years, true crime cases, where the locals just wouldn't let go of it, wouldn't ask for help, got no help, and some of those cases remained absolutely cold. So the fact that the FBI is actively helping and assisting is huge in all of this. And that's because they need help. And Savannah Guthrie said, we need help from the public. Like she said, prayers, yes, but we need more. We need more. And the good news is that there has been a response to that. And people are calling in tips. People are, in fact, doing what they can. Everybody knows about the story at this point. Everybody. I know. I mean, all day long I'm getting text messages from people who I never get text messages from. What's the latest? What's the latest? What can you tell me? Is anything happening? So this is a story that has the attention. Obviously, we wish every story would get this attention, but the public doesn't gravitate to every single story. This one they have, trying to save an 84-year-old woman. Let me tell you about this. Take a look at the suspect that was caught on the doorbell cam. Look at that glove. It really struck me, the glove, because it's kind of a unique, it's kind of big, it's a little bit bulky, it's a little bit strange for the moment that this suspect was in, which is apparently the breaking and entering of a home and the abduction of a woman. He's wearing these gloves, and if you look at him, he's also got like a gun hanging down in the front, and I don't know if he could use the gun with those puffy gloves that he's got. So, as I mentioned, and you're looking at him here, this is a huge, huge, huge clue. And I think as a result of what they see here in this video, a man with gloves, a man with a backpack, a man with the mask, a man who is doing some strange things here, right? Grabbing a potted plant to cover the camera? What is that all about? But I think all of that led to a much more intense effort. And the FBI released this message today. This morning, numerous FBI agents are conducting an extensive search along multiple roadways in the Catalina foothills area related to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. We are asking the media and motorists to follow all traffic laws and to remain especially cautious when passing law enforcement personnel near the roadways. They're walking the roads, they're walking the vegetation that is in the side of the roads. And extensive, intense searching. Take a look at this from the New York Post. FBI agents have recovered a black glove from a roadside near Nancy Guthrie's house. Potentially a major clue in the search for the masked thug who is suspected of abducting the 84-year-old woman, the Post can reveal. Detectives found the clothing item which resembles, this is important, look at the image, resembles the pair worn by the armed perpetrator caught on video about 1.5 miles from the home of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother. You see his gloves. Now take a look at this image from the New York Post, which is the glove itself. It's the same color. There are absolute similarities that are tracking here. I don't know who else in the desert is throwing gloves onto the side of the road 1.5 miles from the location of the abduction of an 84-year-old woman. But this is the latest information in the case and perhaps a huge clue. A glove. Like, there's a lot of evidence connected to a glove. First, what I would do, though, is analyze that glove and see, does it match what we see in the video? Is it substantially similar? And obviously, they'll have a much better look at it than we get from that image. But there's a lot to this. This is a huge development in the case. So let's bring in our think tank who is joining us in studio. Live tonight, criminal defense attorney, former assistant state attorney in Miami-Dade County and former assistant DA in Atlanta, Daryl Cohen, along with senior attorney at the J.L. Weaver law firm, Michael Ray is here, and criminal defense attorney, the man behind the glasses, Josh Schiffer. Okay, I just want a number first. Just a number. Just a number.
That's all.
Okay.
Nothing more.
0 to 10, 10 being this is huge, 0 being it's meh. How big is the retrieval of this glove?
6.5.
I'd say 8.
5. At best.
Why don't you think this is huge?
It's huge once it's been analyzed, but right now it's a piece of road.
It's going to be analyzed.
Yeah, but right now it's a piece of road trash that they finally picked up 1.5 weeks after they should have secured the scene and searched everywhere and done a bunch of stuff. But no, they didn't do that. This case exploded. Now the only thing everybody's 100% sure of is that law enforcement could have done a better job from the beginning, and there's an 84-year-old woman that's missing that's terribly sad.
This is 1.5 miles from the
I get
home.
it, but where was the glove? And really,
Side of the road.
We have to look at that glove. They're going to analyze it, see if there's any DNA. That could be big time. You know, the last big case involved the glove was O.J.
Yeah.
one or two glove cases in between, but that one was
Yeah,
very famous.
and there was some DNA in that one. All right, why you think it's so big? Because these guys are kind of poo-pooing it just a little bit.
I am not poo-pooing it.
6'5".
Yeah.
6'5" is in the
a good height.
poo-pooing range.
Exactly what you said when the video came on. First thing you look at is the glove. When I saw it this morning driving to court, that's the first thing I thought was, OJ, that glove looks weird. We're going to be able to, if they can find a match to that glove or they find the glove somewhere, that's going to be huge. And hopefully, they can get DNA from the inside of it.
Yeah, I got to think you can get DNA from the inside of the glove. And perhaps 2 types of DNA can be gotten from this glove.
But it better be the right glove, because that glove is super unique, like you guys pointed out.
Right.
And what really is important about that glove is when you're going to go commit a horrible crime with malice aforethought and forethinking about it, is that the glove you pick, and why? Because that glove was chosen by that assailant. And that, to me, is the most interesting part.
We're going to have that glove. It's going to be analyzed, obviously. The FBI will find out where that glove was manufactured, who sells it. Is it only online? Is it retail establishments? All of these things will matter. Are the gloves sold locally? Did it have to be imported? All of these things will matter, and then the FBI and the local police will be able to narrow down where that glove came from. Now, it may turn out that that glove means nothing, but I don't think so.
I don't think it means nothing. I think this is huge. And Michael, what I'm thinking about, you test it for DNA. That's the first thing, right? You see if Nancy's DNA is on that glove.
Yes.
Now if it's tied to Nancy, this is the glove. And then whoever else's DNA is in there, if they can trace it, if it's in some database somewhere, now this is you're going to find the killer.
Potentially, yeah. So they're gonna wind up running it through the Arizona database. I'm assuming they have one, just like we do in Georgia. They're gonna run it through CODIS as well, and I'm assuming they'll even take it as far as going into the websites where people are sending in their DNA.
Some genealogy.
Exactly. So I can imagine that this could go a very long way.
And if they do make that causal connection, then this is a 9 or a 10 when it comes to weight.
Well, it's actually a 12 if it turns out to be that. But we just don't know at this point.
We don't know yet. So
Well,
what you're
we know
saying
what
is
we
the
don't know.
potential of getting out of the 6'5" range into a 9, 10, 12 range if they're going to get DNA. Because I've got to think, right, if you're wearing these gloves and whatever happened in that house in 41 minutes and the interaction that would cause Nancy to bleed could lead to some touch DNA from Nancy on the outside, and then who's ever wearing the glove, I mean, should be filled with skin cells and sweat and everything else on the inside.
And really, it would be evidence of the brutality of whatever the attack is, especially if it's covered in Nancy's blood. We're talking about an 84-year-old woman. The amount of violence you need to control someone of that age, really, that violent interlude, that's going to answer a lot of questions about the why and how when we eventually get our man.
Now, I compare this to the Idaho 4, right?
Or men.
Right, so Idaho 4, that killer, that mass killer, to me, he was a killer that studied everything, tried to figure it out, and had an exact plan. His gloves were never found. His clothes were never found. He made one mistake, which was the knife sheath, right? And on the snap button, that was the whole case for prosecutors, really, along with some video, but they needed that DNA. This guy is tossing it 1.5 miles from the scene of the abduction in an area where, like, you could have, why would he throw it out or she throw it out?
First thing you learn in criminal defense is throw out logic, because unfortunately some of our clients make decisions that just baffle
Well, Idaho
the
4
rest of
killer
us.
did not.
Yes.
So I feel like we're dealing with two different types of people
It
here.
was a criminology student, though.
Right, that's
So
what I
at
mean.
least
He's next
he had
level.
some training. The whole theory now, especially with the glove and looking at the video, is this is not a organized kidnapper, I would say. This is not a professional.
You think it's still organized?
I disagree.
I think the guy on the street executing the take may have been an amateur putz. People behind it, I don't know yet.
Yeah, I think that what we see, if this is our person that we could ever identify him, I think he is not going to be one.
The brains of the outfit?
Well, I think he's going to be part of the outfit. Not anything more, not anything less, but the person who actually perpetrated the crime, but not the person or persons who planned the crime.
So we see him on video by himself, right? Is it possible for him to do this whole thing by himself and extract her out of the house? He's either got to walk her out if she's alive or carry her out if he, took her life inside the home. Where's his car?
What's in the backpack? That backpack is stuffed to the gills. Is there a tarp in there? What's going on with the backpack? I believe that if you're going to do a professional job, it's probably a multi-person job. That's the big thing that comes out to me. The fact that it's just one guy showing up.
If there's two people there, are they communicating? And if so, how would they be communicating?
Could be hand motions. It could be they had earpieces. They could have any numerous ways of communicating. I don't know that there were two people there. None of us know. There may have been 3 or 4, but I am convinced.
But he's by himself going in.
That
Where would everybody else? Somebody else waiting in a car somewhere?
Don't take any chances don't take any chances at all. We want to keep it as low-key as we can. Hey, by the way, go look at that ring camera. Take it down. Take it down.
If you're eliminating your exposure, you only got one guy that has the picture, and then you hide the other people in the background, knowing that the focus will be on one guy. All depends on the level of planning.
Yeah.
All right.
He could have done it himself,
He could.
but it's probably not probable.
Yeah.
All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about the subject/person of interest who was detained and questioned by police. I mean, after late night hours last night, everybody thought this was it, but it wasn't. But you're going to hear from him, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Videopolitan Investigates, we continue our in-depth coverage into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie and take a closer look at the video of the suspect. Was this a professional job? Tonight, we investigate.
What are you reporting?
Fire. The tragic murder of Keith Canero and his entire family.
The defendant repeatedly shot and killed his brother and then moved to murder the rest of the family inside the home.
Their sprawling mansion set on fire.
Paul and Keith were not only brothers, but business partners.
This one is the most brutal case that I've seen in my experience here.
The Mansion Murders Trial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
We believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock, trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help.
Savannah Guthrie pleading for the public's help. Any little thing that you may have noticed or heard or saw, even if you don't think it's necessarily relevant or important, it might be. It very well might be. And the public, like I've been saying, has responded. There have been lots of tips. And it seems like one of those tips led to someone being detained last night south of Tucson, very close to the Mexican border in the southern part of Pima County. KNXV reporter Ford Hatchett actually spoke with the man who was detained on the roadside. Take a look at this.
Anything that you guys need to tell us or want to tell us about tonight? We're trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, I'm good, thank you.
All right, thank you. Be good. Have a good night.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I was arrested for kidnapping, but I didn't do it.
You didn't do it. Do you mind if we get you on camera just saying that?
Start talking.
Just talking now. So you said what happened?
They arrested me for kidnapping, which I don't know what's going on.
So what? How did this?
I'm from Rio Rico, as you can see, and it's Pima County Sheriff's.
And so what? How did this all start? How did they stop you here? You were driving here, or
my wife was driving.
Your wife was driving
because they were following me. And once I saw they were following me, I pulled over. They didn't even have to put a traffic stop or anything. I got off the car, and they arrested me as soon as I got off the car. They didn't even tell me what was going on until the detectives got here, like 2 hours before I got arrested. And then the detectives got here. It was the FBI agent in Santa Cruz County, and they told me I was being detained for kidnapping. And I asked them, like, well, kidnapping of who? And they told me this lady, I don't know her name. And
Nancy Guthrie?
Yeah, that's her. And I told him, I work in Tucson for GLS. I might have delivered a package to your house, but I never kidnapped anybody. They hold me from like 4 to right now.
So it was about 4 o'clock, and they're holding you to right now, so after midnight?
Yeah.
Did they tell you anything? I mean, you're in the back of the truck?
They didn't tell me anything until right now. Like I said, like the beginning, they answered they wanted me to answer their questions, like where I was, what hours, and all that, and I answered the questions. And right now, all they told me is that I'm free to go.
So do you know, had you heard of, and Danny, do you want us to come closer to you here? Yeah, come over here. So we'll just walk, sorry, I just want to clear this up because they're making a big stick.
What's your
name, brother?
Carlos.
Carlos?
Yeah.
I'm Ford. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
And Carlos, do you mind sharing your last name?
Nah,
No, you're good? Yeah. So Carlos. So walk me through it. They had you here. I know you just said it. Had you heard of Nancy Guthrie before tonight?
Never until today.
Never until today.
Yeah.
So
I didn't. They told me I watched the news and I Googled her number or her name and I prove it to me, and they couldn't prove it to me. Like they didn't have no. It was insufficient evidence. Like they only had a phone on me. That's all they had. And supposedly I was at her house, but like I said, I work delivering packages for GLS. I might have delivered a package to her house.
But didn't kidnap anybody?
No.
So what's going through your head when they're telling you kidnapped somebody?
Bro, I'm facing life. I'm gonna lose everything.
And so they have all this. They detain you. You're here for hours. And what did they just tell you?
That I'm free to go.
Free to go.
Yeah, and Pima County, they already cleared me, but the FBI, they might not or something like that. I don't know. I'm still like.
So Pima County's let you go. They said the FBI may be in contact with you or something like that?
They didn't say something like that. They just, the detective in charge right here, I don't remember his name. He told me that they're not looking into me no more, but somebody else might.
Okay. Obviously, you said you hadn't followed this news. This is big, major news. It's Nancy Guthrie, who's her daughter is Savannah Guthrie, who hosts the Today Show on NBC. So it's been big news. She's been missing for more than a week. So they have put out, the Pima County Sheriff's Department put out that they had detained a person of interest. And I guess that's you?
I guess so.
How do you feel about that? People are watching this all over. I mean,
I'm not happy.
I'll show you here. Look, this is what they put out earlier. He's just getting a shot.
South of Tucson. I was just stopped at South of Tucson.
So I guess south of Tucson is where you are here in Rio Rico?
I guess so.
And so, yeah, that went out everywhere, and you see, you know, they got all sorts of people talking about it.
Yeah, no, well, I'm innocent. I'll let you know that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I didn't do anything. Like I said, I didn't even know what was going on until the FBI and the Pima County detective arrived, and they told me, well, you're being detained for kidnapping, and all of a sudden they read me my Miranda rights. Now you're being under arrest. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
And now free to go.
Yeah, now I'm free to go.
Oh, man. What a night, huh?
Bro, tell me about it.
And your family's doing all right? You got to see them?
Well, they broke into my in-laws' house.
Whoa. All right. So what do you think led to that detainment?
Some bodies gave some information which turned into evidence, which turned into a stop, which turned into a detention, which turned into an interrogation. And it may not be over. Just because he's been released doesn't mean they believe him to be innocent.
And we know they have more than just that because they were able to obtain a search warrant for his mother's home and executed that as well. So that's really what we need. We need a copy of that search warrant.
The search warrant will have the basis for detaining him and for going to the house. Yeah. Is it enough that just someone gives a tip and says, oh, you know what? I know where that person is. It's in so-and-so's house. Do they need more than that to get the warrant, do you think, to get inside the house, to stop him, detain him, Mirandize him?
I think because of the high profile of this case, they don't need more. They may need more, but they've got to find something, and the public and the family are clamoring, find my mom, find Nancy Guthrie. You've got to do this. And so I think that they would be, in the instance, less is more. So the less information.
Is what you're saying is that looking at what they have, a judge may give you sign that warrant with a little less than they may otherwise?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think a judge is going to be a little bit more flexible with the probable cause level due to the exigency involved. We're not talking about, you know, I need to get these drugs out of a van. No. This is a living, breathing human, and they probably had some piece of evidence that said, hey, this is the hottest thing we've got right now. Judge, I believe that this person's connected, therefore we want to be able to pick him up and search his family member's house.
So what if they had, like, if he did actually deliver packages in that neighborhood, and there was someone who says, oh yeah, he's the one who did it, or, you know, that's where Nancy is. That would be a really wild coincidence, wouldn't it?
It's criminal work, so you can't discount anything. There are some crazy coincidences, and really, they want to cast the widest net. dragnet.
But his demeanor, I mean, nothing struck me that he is hiding a thing.
Relatively.
I completely agree. But maybe they executed that search warrant with less than they would normally have, and maybe the interrogation of him will lead to whoever it is, if he's not the person, whoever it is, taking off their shoes, relaxing a little bit, laying back on the sofa, I got it, baby, and then he or she or they may not have got it.
It's a tell to who the real bad guys are. And I'm not saying that this actually happened, but if you get a news story about we've got someone, then the real perpetrator might get a little bit more loose and relaxed and messy and make that mistake that leads law enforcement to them.
Because this case is full of just odd things that keep happening. Law enforcement hasn't even confirmed that they interviewed that man, that they searched his house.
Right.
That's only coming from him.
Yeah.
Law enforcement hasn't said that they did any of that.
Right. Let's take a listen to a little bit more of that interview. Again, this is from KNXV, being interviewed outside of the, looks like outside of the house.
You were apprehended for questioning. How would you describe what happened to you?
Terrifying. Something I didn't do for something. I was being like, I felt like I was being kidnapped, bro. They didn't tell me anything at the beginning.
And investigators showed up to this house, or were you the one who was pulled over at the traffic stop?
I was the one that was pulled over at the traffic stop.
Where was that?
Right here on by Chubasco.
Okay, and you were taken into custody at that point?
Yeah.
And you were...
I was being detained.
Detained, okay.
I was detained the whole time.
Okay,
That's what they told me.
Where were they?
In the back of a car.
Back of a
Miranda car, and then they moved me into a Pima County Sheriff.
Were you being questioned in the car?
At the Miranda car, I was being questioned, but they only asked me for my first name, my last name, my date of birth, and my social.
Okay. What were they asking you about?
Where my whereabouts.
Okay.
Where do I work? Where was I, and all that. But
are you ever up in Tucson?
Yeah, I work in Tucson.
What do you do?
GLS, deliver packages.
Okay. Do you think you might have delivered a package to Nancy Guthrie's house?
I don't know. Might have been a possibility. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you ever deliver like Amazon packages or anything?
Well, it's kind of the same thing.
It seems like that's something that you could figure out eventually, like if he was delivering packages there. But they may know that already. That may be part of the basis that, you know, there's a van in the neighborhood.
And the tip's the tip. If you've got flock cameras or something else and they saw a vehicle and grabbed a tag and then ran it down and said, hey, this vehicle's been in proximity, it's something. And that's unfortunately part of being a detective or an investigator. Sometimes they have the weakest hunch and they chase it down. It's why a hunch doesn't get you a warrant. You need probable cause.
Nor does a warrant get you an arrest.
No, exactly.
So when he says, is there a difference between being in custody and being detained?
Oh, huge.
Absolutely.
What's the difference?
Not much. He can't move anywhere. They're not going to let him go. You're not arrested, but you can't move. You're not arrested, but you need to answer our questions.
There's actually 3 tiers of police-citizen encounters that we can detail because they've been litigated to death.
Or we can take the course that you guys offer, right?
Well, here's the important thing, though. How your rights attach to you matters on the level of interaction between you and law enforcement. And they've been arguing over when's the first 3-tier. It's got to be 40, 50, 60 years old.
Right.
So officers are trained, well, until this level, this is a tier 1, which means that they're free to leave, they cannot answer questions. Then you've got tier 2, then you've got tier 3, and depending on what tier you're at, does your Miranda apply or not?
Well, they did.
Custodial.
He said he was Mirandized.
They have to Mirandize. If they don't Mirandize him and he says, I did it, I'm so sorry.
Oh, you know that they would get that in through excited utterance after not Mirandizing them. And really, Miranda is one of the most misunderstood laws out there. You don't have to be Mirandized unless it's a custodial interrogation, which this admittedly was.
This was, right? He's in the back of the vehicle being questioned and being asked things specifically about this case. There was something that led them to him. It wasn't just someone who was walking down the street. So obviously, he was a person of interest, at a minimum, potentially a suspect in all of this. It was a big moment when all this is happening last night, and obviously social media went on fire, thinking that maybe this was it, but as it turns out, it wasn't. Do you think that's the end of him?
I think it's a definite maybe. I just don't know. We don't know enough about what law enforcement knows in order for us, any of us or all of us, to make a intelligent guess.
So
And it's
free
still
to
a
go
guess.
doesn't necessarily mean that you're free forever. It's like at this moment, we don't have enough.
Absolutely.
Well, he said it himself that the GB or the FBI may have other questions for you.
Okay.
And that brings up the issue. Sometimes you interview someone who's a suspect and let them go so you can watch them. Where do they go next? They lead you to more
Do you think
clues.
they tried to get his DNA last night?
Oh, they've got it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they've got his DNA.
They gave him a cup of water and they kept it.
Yep.
Or he's touched something, so they've got
And now
his
they found a
fingerprints.
glove today, so they can compare, they can exclude.
Yeah.
Law enforcement knows all the tricks. They've literally been trained on them and learned them from millions of criminals and adopted those tricks to make their jobs better, such as, here's a cup, drink out of it. Yeah, that's our DNA test that you willingly abandoned your DNA during your investigation, so we got to test it. And
Here's your pen, sign your Miranda form.
Yeah,
that's right. You can get it right off the
why
bat.
they let him go. And really, if the feds want you, there's a reason to arrest everybody in America
Right, well,
24 hours a day. If
The
the feds
basis
say
for the
so.
search could have been the basis for the arrest, too.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
if they got
Potentially.
what they wanted, but perhaps they still believe he is not only a person of interest, not only the suspect, but a probable defendant. They want him to wander around, do what he does. Oh, I'm free. And then go do what he wants to do, which will hopefully incriminate him or lead him to do something else that they can watch.
So they'll close out the investigation on him at this point and perhaps follow up DNA otherwise to see if anything. But the demeanor, to me, told a big story, because we've seen a lot of criminal defendants through the years, right, who are speaking to police, and that guy did not strike me like he was hiding a thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Next time there's a discussion over how you're supposed to react,
That's it.
That's your
how
good
an innocent
clip.
person sort of
Save
reacts.
that clip.
All right, Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, another email sent to our friend Harvey Levin over at TMZ. What was that all about? We'll talk about it next.
We received your message, and we understand. We will pay.
Typical bad actor does not have the entire world monitoring the address and trying to figure out if it leaps 3 times, splits up, jumps chains. Here, the entire world is going to try to figure this out and be the hero. I'm of the mindset that the person asking for Bitcoin is not actually the person who holds Miss Guthrie, and I'm sorry to say that I have no knowledge to do it, but Bitcoin is not what you want. It is too easy to trace in today's world.
Bitcoin is traceable. Like if you paid whatever the ransom was, and that were the people connected to this, it's for the public to see, for the public to follow, and there's going to be thousands of people who want to be the ones who uncover who tried to take that 6 million, 8 million, whatever it is in Bitcoin and tried to launder it and turn it into actual cash. Like, you're going to be found out. It doesn't seem to be a great plan. Meanwhile, today, TMZ reported they received another note, but this time the writer wasn't asking for ransom to save Nancy Guthrie's life. This note said they wanted 1 Bitcoin in exchange for information about the kidnapper. Here's what Harvey Levin reported this afternoon.
TMZ has received another email from somebody demanding money. This is somebody who says they have been trying to get in touch with Savannah Guthrie's sister, Annie, and Savannah's brother to no avail. And they are now saying that they have information about who the kidnapper is, and they are demanding money. They want 1 Bitcoin.
1 Bitcoin. 1 Bitcoin is worth, depending upon what time of day it is, somewhere in the area of $50,000 to $70,000 now. I think we're in that range. The reward, like the real reward for the tip, is like $50,000. So what is this all about? Why would they ask for this in Bitcoin? And is it someone connected and they just want to remain anonymous? But like we said, with the Bitcoin, you're going to be found out once you try to cash it out. Still with me, Daryl Cohen, Michael Ray, Josh Schiffer. This is another strange twist in a story of strange twists.
It never stops, and it will not stop unless and until they find the person or persons, the perps. Not going to stop.
I agree with Daryl. It's the copycats are going to keep coming. Ever since the original Bitcoin, where they were reaching directly out to the family, this is just another version of that.
Yeah. This third letter just screams copycat, scammer, ride along, coattail. Let me see what I can squeeze out of it. I'm going to try to be anonymous. Where anybody in law enforcement can tell you that's not the way this actually happens.
It's like what you said. If he actually had the name, he's got $50,000 coming his way if he gets captured. So why would you send in an anonymous letter asking for approximately $50,000
to Harvey Levin?
Yeah.
Like, no offense against TMZ, but like the money's going to come from either the Guthries or it's going to. And they said they tried to reach out to the Guthries, but they couldn't. It's very easy, but for some reason this person wants to remain anonymous. Could that be for their own safety? But if you do the tip, you could remain anonymous.
Absolutely. The tip, you can remain anonymous. And one of the things that we don't know and makes this very difficult to analyze is we don't know how the relationship between Guthrie's law enforcement and the alleged kidnappers has worked when it comes to payments. In many foreign countries, kidnappings are unfortunately common for executives. You can get insurance for kidnappings. And what is the first thing the insurance people tell you? Don't call law enforcement, call us. We'll pay the ransom and you get your person back. It's an industry in some countries. We don't know what the Guthries did from the beginning, what law enforcement, PEMA, or the FBI did when it came to, hey, call them back, give them this, give them that.
Well, there's no phone number.
But
there's no phone number. The letters came to Scripps. They came to another news organization. They went to TMZ. There was no indication from anyone who's read those letters that there was any level of communication. The first communication was, this is it, we're not going to communicate anymore. And then there was a second one that was described not quite as a ransom letter, but was described in a different way, and it wasn't clear if it was the same person. But again, there was no way to have that direct communication. So
this whole case just makes no sense unless you look at it as if it's orchestrated. But I agree with Mike, I agree with Josh. It's messed up. Whatever they wanted, it's not going to happen. And I don't believe that Savannah Guthrie's mother is going to be alive, and I hope I live to eat those words.
If it was a real kidnapping, how do you not put on to communicate with you to get your money?
We work with and around the criminal element, and even the most rudimentary criminals would know, hey, we got to have a way to actually execute this plan.
Well, they gave a Bitcoin address, deposited the Bitcoin address.
I just don't think that there's the level of even basic illogical professionalism that anybody who was a kidnapper would include.
I'm thinking a little out of the box. I'd like to know what Nancy Guthrie's will says. If she dies, if she's been kidnapped and dies, who stands to inherit and what do they stand to inherit? That might tie a family member to this. It may not.
One of the things that has happened in this investigation is they've gone into the daughter's home, Annie Guthrie's home, Annie and her husband Tommaso. They've gone in there. There have been flashes of light, seemingly taking some photographic images. There's been reports of them leaving the home with some bags as well.
Every single member of the family deserved scrutiny and investigation from the very beginning because their mother is gone, and guess what? They're family members. They deserve to get investigated, period. But it's also pretty straightforward to clear those of them that are open and cooperative. Nobody's been cleared. They haven't announced anything. For all we know, there's another discussion going on within law enforcement about their real suspects, and that could include, shockingly, family members. We don't know.
It is possible they've all been cleared, and their law enforcement's not saying anything.
Not saying it.
Everything is possible. It's all on the table, until it really comes to fruition.
Do you feel like there's momentum? We have less than a minute left.
Yes.
We'll go around the horn here. You think there is momentum?
I think there's momentum. I think the feds, the FBI is moving this case along very nicely.
Yeah, I think with the FBI coming in, finding the potential glove, we're definitely, at least now we're moving in a direction instead of just every day we don't have anything else.
Yeah, that's my big takeaway is we're getting more. I'm not saying this was done right because it wasn't, but we're getting closer to a solution now that we've got more resources.
Yeah, I really believe in this glove because everything that we said tonight. One, DNA, and if the DNA is not in some sort of a database, then the genealogy, we've seen it. That's the Idaho 4 case. It was genetic genealogy that did it. So why could you not do it here?
Golden Gate Killer.
Golden Gate Killer, same thing.
And that glove is so unique. It's so weird and so specific. That's a key
Which also
piece.
makes no sense if they didn't want to be found.
Yeah.
All right. Great job, everyone. Great to see you. Daryl Cohen, Michael Ray, Josh Schiffer. We'll see you again. Don't go anywhere, folks. When we come back, something else you need to know tonight. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, as the search for Nancy Guthrie and her abductors continues, we take a closer look at the family. Do they know more than they are saying? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
A deadly school shooting.
I just started hearing gunshots.
Now, the father of the alleged shooter is on trial.
Mr. Gray knowingly allowing his son to possess a weapon.
The Gave My Son a Gun murder trial this week on Court TV.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Closing arguments, the name of the show, and what was happening in New Jersey today in the case against Paul Canaro, accused of murdering his brother and his brother's wife and 2 children, then setting their mansion on fire. Let's take a listen to the defense and then a piece of the prosecution, because the defense went so long today, the prosecutor did not complete the closing arguments. Take a listen.
Can you rely on this DNA evidence to say that this man is guilty? The reliability of that is called into question by the transfer and the contamination I just mentioned. And it is also called into question with the fact that when they used the StarMix software for certain samples, they did not test anyone else's DNA against it other than Jennifer, Jesse, Sophia, Keith, and Paul. Why does this matter? Because we don't have, for example, Corey's DNA.
When you look at what they're trying to argue to you, it's really that Paul Canaro, for you to find anything other than he killed everybody, he would have to be the unluckiest man in the world, because he would have to shut off his cameras, get framed, but then not be able to prove you got framed because you shut off your cameras.
What a great argument from the prosecutor. Prosecution finishes up tomorrow morning. Make sure you watch it right here on Court TV. All right, right now I need you to take a look at your television screens. We have a missing child who needs your help tonight. This is Aliciana Oriela Santiago. Aliciana is missing since February 4th out of Arnold, Maryland, just 16 years old. Pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference, 911, 1-800-THE-LOST. Please, if you see Aliciana, make that call. Let's get her to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We've got another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.